Hey everybody, welcome in. Today I'm going to go through the basics. This is the basics of Mekanism right here. First off, you're going to need a process to make steel. In order to get this up and running, you will need these first two items here. You will need infused alloys and basic control circuits. And the way that you're going to get those is by tossing the redstone into this slot right here and into that slot on another one. Then you'll be turning in iron into the infused alloys and osmium into the refined, into the basic control circuits. Now, yeah, you could use the same machine for both of them. Let's say you do the iron first and then you do the osmium in the next time around. But if you just make two of them, it'll make your life a lot easier. This guy in the middle, the basic enrichment factory, is going to take that redstone dust, and instead of it being so inefficient, what it is going to do is it is going to turn it into enriched redstone to power these machines instead. Now, you do not actually need a power source early Mekanism game. You can power it with just redstone. So if we were to have redstone here and just toss it into here, it would power these machines for you. Now, it's not ideal because you don't want to use your redstone. However, for the first two steps, a few windmills at, let's say, about 60 to 70 elevation will be enough to power the first 2 to 3 settings of the Mekanism ore refinement. So now that we have the basic items here, the infused alloy and the basic control circuit, you can start to make the other stuff in Mekanism. It's very important that you have steel. So steel is a very easy recipe. You take iron and you feed it into an infused, into a metallurgic infuser, or into a basic infusing factory. It is going to be powered by coal or enriched carbon. The enriched carbon, just like the enriched redstone, is going to power it more than just tossing in coal. So if you have coal coming into an enrichment factory, it will produce the enriched carbon, which will come down and power this machine and this machine. So now that these are powered, or actually infused here, we have iron coming in to enriched iron. The enriched iron will flow over to this machine and produce steel dust. The steel dust will flow over into the smelting factory, or this energetic smelter, and it will produce steel ingots for you. And you're going to need that. You're going to need that to go ahead and make your machines later on. And all of these machines will require a steel casing or a steel machine frame in the middle, so you will need that. So after these 3 basic machines, you will also need these ones. So it looks a little crazy, but trust me, it's actually a very easy and simple process. What you have here is diamond coming in to the enrichment factory, producing enriched diamond, because again, this is fuel for these infusing machines. So it's coming into here, and it's being enriched. And now we have the enriched diamonds going down into one infusing factory here and one here. The one here is going to take these infused alloys that we get from this machine here, and it's going to turn it into reinforced alloy. This is very important because you are going to need that later on in order to upgrade and get better machines and everything. Now over here, the enriched diamond is going to come to this infusing factory, and this infusing factory is going to take this right here. It's going to take this obsidian into the enrichment factory. It's going to make powdered obsidian, and coming down to the infusing factory, it's going to take that powdered obsidian and it's going to turn it into the refined obsidian dust. Refined obsidian dust is going to power this machine with the infusing, and it is going to generate, with the reinforced alloy, atomic alloy. Now, from all of this machines, you can make everything else you're going to need for Mekanism. So, one infused alloy on either side of a basic control circuit is going to make the advanced control circuit. Advanced control circuit with a reinforced alloy on either side is going to produce the elite control circuit. Elite control circuit with the atomic alloy is going to produce the ultimate control circuit. That's all you need to be running with Mekanism. Ideally, you'll have at least one windmill up and running onto the side, or if you have another power mod installed, you will use whatever you want to do for that. Personally, 1 or 2 windmills will get you through all the way up to the 3 times, maybe even 4 times ore processing. You don't need much more than that. So now that we have all of this settled, we're going to move on to the actual ore processing. Now, I'm going to try to go as slow as possible. If you guys already know how to do this, you might want to skip to the other sections. But we're going to do the very beginnings, the very easy stuff, right? So, very first off, I always like to use barrels for my stuff. It really helps out. Just keep everything... Helps really keep everything in order. So, to start off with, all we need is an enrichment chamber. Now, if you want to know how to make these machines, you can search in JEI if you have JEI, which you probably should. And we're going to toss down this enrichment chamber. This is just a really basic one with just 1 unit here. Now, from here, we're going to toss in our raw ores. So whatever ore you're using, toss that bad boy in. And it's kind of important. I try to do this as much as possible, but sometimes I forget. When you first toss down a machine, everything is actually open, right? This is all open right here. Just close it all. It should come stock closed just to prevent things slipping into the machine that's not supposed to be there. But just close it all. If you're afraid of it connecting with another machine, toss it down outside here, and then close it all. And then pick it up, and then bring it over to where you're going to be working with. So now that we have this here, we're going to have the input on the left-hand side, right there. And I always like to assign these. You don't have to all the time, but I like to have it assigned just to have it out of the way. And because we're just doing the tutorial, I'm going to use a creative cell to power these machines just because... I don't want to have to go through and do it right now. Okay, so this enrichment chamber, taking in the ore, is going to do 2 times ore processing. So 1 raw iron is going to turn into 2 iron dust. And from there, you just need an energetic smelter. Energized smelter right there. Now, again, you want to make sure that you have everything configured right. So you're going to go into the side config, and right here, we have the machine on the right-hand side. So output, auto eject. Now it's going to auto eject the iron dust from the other machine into this one and smelt it off, which in turn need to be output into some type of chest or organization system. We'll just use barrels for now. There we go. So now as the ore is smelted, it will go down on the bottom if we have turned on output and eject on. So now we have basic ore doubling. Easy as that. There's ore doubling. No problem at all, right? Okay, let's move on to ore tripling. Now, I like to keep, when I'm upgrading from my ore doubling to ore tripling and ore tripling to the next level up, I really like to keep this barrel here, or chest, whatever you're using, I like to keep it there as a buffer, because sometimes something goes wrong and this machine will stop and it'll back up the whole system. Whereas if you at least have some type of storage system in between, you're going to end up with extra room before this machine malfunction causes the whole line to stop. So now we have this long until this fills up to find out what's going on and fix it so that we can keep everything running smoothly. Now, before we do ore tripling, you're going to notice that these are just basic machines. On Mechanism, we're going to want tier upgrades. And the tier upgrades are just going to bring it to a factory level standard. Right here, basic tier upgrade. And we're just going to basic tier. What that's going to do is it's going to give us more slots. And we're going to want to turn on auto sort. That's going to file it all the way out and through here. And same thing over here, all the way out. This will just help keep things going faster and have everything processed out a lot smoother than if we didn't have it there. So now that we have that, what we want now is we want to do the ore tripling. Ore tripling is very easy. So going into the old ore chest, we need a crusher. Right, we need a crusher to come in. And this is going to crush the ores that are coming from the process that we're going to be building right now and send it into here. Now again, this is not going to be an ideal layout, but I will try to lay it out in a fashion that makes sense to anybody who's looking at it. Now the crusher is going to take clumps from a purification chamber. We're going to grab this purification chamber and we're just going to toss it right there. Now again, things get pretty complicated if your machines are just always on like this, so clear it out. And we're going to make sure that we are explicitly stating what is going on with these machines, just to prevent anything else from happening to them later on the line. If you're going to be adding in more stuff, you don't want any issues to come up. So there we go. It should be a clear and easy system here. Now, here we are going to have to go and have an input for the ore. This is the new input chest for our ore. So we're going to go back into side configuration, input on the top, and it should be good. Again, you want to make sure that you are assigning all of these. It doesn't necessarily have to be done for every machine, but it's a good habit to get into if you just do it. So I highly encourage you to just do it. Just go through and assign everything that you have because it's going to make your life easier down the road. So now we have ore coming in, but this machine does not have what it needs to purify. And for this to work, we are going to need oxygen. So we're going to need an electrolytic separator. The electrolytic separator is going to go right here. And what we're going to do first, again, like always, we're going to turn off the output. So actually, the output's already going to the right. So we can leave that on for now. We can leave that just fine. Okay. So this needs water to come into the machine. The easiest way to do this is going to be to have a pump, a mechanism pump, off to the side over here. I like to put it off to the side because at times you are going to want to use, you're going to want to connect all of your water pipes eventually, just to make it more efficient for you. So here we have the water coming in, right? There's water down there, one water source. We need one mechanism pump. And there we go. And now we are going to need the water pipe, which is the mechanical pipes. And there we go. Now we have water being pumped in, and you'll see here we're generating hydrogen and we're generating oxygen, but the oxygen is going into this chamber here. So now if we get that raw ore that we had before, that we put into there previously, the raw ore is going to come through here and it is going to get processed out into ore clumps. So one ore goes into 3 clumps. The 3 clumps come into here. Once this gets processed out, the clumps will turn into the dirty ore right there, the dirty copper dust. The dirty copper dust will turn into the ore, get smelted here. Easy as that. We have 3 times ore processing. There's double from the first setup. Here is triple ore processing from the next setup. Very easy, straightforward process. And remember, it's better not to have this pump feeding directly into this, because this is full now, right? This is full, and so is this. Now, what do you do with the hydrogen? You have two options at this point where the hydrogen is full. You can get a basic chemical tank and start saving your hydrogen. If you wanted to, you can start saving the hydrogen, right? You can put it in there, start saving it. The other option to keep the machine running even after that is you're going to click right here and put dumping excess. That's going to dump the excess and let the machine keep running. However, we're going to keep the dumping excess, but we're also going to put this in here. This is going to fill this hydrogen tank up because we're going to use the hydrogen later, and we don't want to run out of the hydrogen. Same thing, if this fills up with oxygen, which it shouldn't at this point, you want to save the oxygen. The other option is also to put this machine off by 1 and to use a pipe to transfer the oxygen over. That way later on you can also share the oxygen pipes just like you would with the water. We're going to share our water between all of our water pumps we're going to install. That way we always have a source of water coming into the system no matter which pump is doing it. And we could do the same thing with the actual hydrogen and the oxygen. We can make separate lines for both of those, but that is an option for you. All right, so now we have the 3 times ore processing. Now it's time where things get a little bit more complicated, but not too complicated. We're going to go over and start doing the 4 times ore processing. Now, 4 times ore processing is nothing to be scared of. It's actually still very easy. And what we're going to need a chemical injection chamber. Again, if you don't know how to make these machines, JEI over here is your friend. You're going to search for what you need and just click on it and it'll tell you what you need. If you don't have JEI installed, you probably should. It is the best, probably the most powerful mod you could possibly have on modded Minecraft because it tells you everything you need. So we need a chemical injection chamber. Here's the chemical injection chamber. The chemical injection chamber is going to be taking in the ore. So again, we have ore very early on right here. And again, you want to make sure that you're not crossing your cables at all. So right here, we have the ore coming in now. And then the shards, this is going to be shards now. So the ore is going to come in through here and get turned into shards. But in order for this machine to work right here, we're going to need hydrogen chloride, which is another, it's a process. So we're going to go with the chemical infuser. Chemical infuser right there. So we're going to go with the chemical infuser. Again, you could just do this. And same thing with this one. We could separate this out right here. Right? We could separate this out and keep it separated from here. And then we can use a pressurized pipe right here to actually deliver the goods to the next section. And again, what this is going to do is this is going to give you the option later on to use this hydrogen or this oxygen in this case with another machine, right? It's always going to be there as an option. And same thing with this. Make sure that that is not connected to that. You don't want no mix-ups, no happenstances. So here's the oxygen coming out. We might want to use that later. So we're just going to bring that out right now. And then right here, we're actually going to move this over here for now. Again, this is a little complicated on my part. Sorry about that, guys. But you'll see why I did this later. So here we have plenty of room for this guy to function. So later on, see this is filling up with hydrogen now. We're going to use that hydrogen here in a little bit, which is why I wanted to separate it out. So there's the hydrogen coming out. And of course, we have the power going in. And now we have to get the power coming over here to these machines. How you distribute power is 100% up to you. I usually distribute it pretty pretty much straightforward. Sometimes it can get a little complicated. Okay, so this is the new setup right here, right? We want this separated, even though the oxygen is still coming over here, and even though the hydrogen is coming into this pipe and into the tank. Now that we have that separated, let's focus on this. So again, the chemical injection chamber here is going to be powered off of this machine right here. This chemical infuser is going to take this hydrogen that we just separated out, right? It's going to take this hydrogen into here. There's the hydrogen. And we're also going to need chlorine. Now, the chlorine comes from an electrolytic separator. Yet again, these machines are going to be used a lot, so get used to it. There is an electrolytic separator right there. Guess it doesn't matter which way we put it. The electrolytic separator is going to need access to brine. Now, the way you get brine is you're going to need to build a multi-block construct over here called the evaporation chamber. So we're going to take the evaporation block, some valves, and the monitor. It's a very easy 4x4 construct. So we're going to come over here. You need a 4x4 space and just toss down the blocks. Okay. You're going to need one monitor. You're going to need water input, brine output. So there's a brine output, there's water, and we're going to do one more because we're going to need an additional output later on for another part of the system. So it's better just to build that in now. So we have water coming in, we have brine out and brine out, easy as can be, and it needs to be 3 blocks tall. There we go. Now, if we look in here, this is the thermal evaporation plant. Now, to make this guy work, we need 2 things, right? We need 2 things from this thing. We need water. So again, this is why we separate the water and not put it directly to the machine, because we can actually run this machine off of just this. And we probably should have just put one of these guys over here with this. There we go. The water is going into here, right? There we go. Water coming in. And it's filling up, but it's not producing yet because we don't have any heat. We need some heat, and that's what we're going to use this guy for. So for this, there's plenty of things you could use. However, what we are going to use is this beautiful right here. This thing is called the resistive heater. And why do I love the resistive heater? Because this thing could be adjusted to be whatever temperature you need it to be running at. So we're going to grab the universal cable. We're going to bring this over here. There we go. So this guy right here, you can adjust. So right now it's at 40 FE a tick. And you come over here and see how much it is producing. It is producing some brine. It is producing almost 2 buckets a tick. So now that brine is going to be coming out of here. We need to make sure that we separate that out. So there's the brine coming out. And then we need to be very careful at this point. Silly frog. Okay, so there's the brine coming out of here. And again, we want to be very careful not to mix our wires up. So here's the brine coming into this machine. And we will need power for it, of course. Okay, there's the power. So we have brine coming in. And again, brine is producing 2 things. It's producing sodium and it's producing chlorine. So the chlorine, right, we're going to need to get that gas out of there and into this machine right here. This machine is going to take the hydrogen that we've been producing and the chlorine, and it's going to produce hydrogen chloride. And that is what we need to get over here to this injection chamber. So this thing is producing hydrogen chloride, which we need to get to this chamber right here. Now, if you didn't have it all messed up like I did, You can easily just come over here, turn this off so it doesn't connect, and connect it like that. Now we are pulling the hydrogen chloride out and putting it into here. Now let's see what's happening. There's the hydrogen chloride. So now if we take raw ore out of here and put it into here, the raw ore is being turned into the shards, and the shards are going to come through here. And again, this is now 4 times ore processing. So there's 4 ore shards. We need to have the ejection on back, output on. There's the shards. So 1 ore is being turned into 4 shards. 4 shards are going to come through here, get chopped down, and through the process. Again, you want to install the tier upgrades as well. As you're going through this process, you want to make sure you're upgrading your machines to handle the new loads that are being put onto it. Not all machines are upgradable, as you can see right here, but the ones that are going to make your life a lot easier. There's also going to be speed upgrades as well. Just remember that if you install speed upgrades, you also need to install energy upgrades. If you're going past 2 speed upgrades, you really do need to install the energy upgrades as well right here. What this is going to do is, even though it's going faster, see how you put too many, you're going to start running out of power. So the energy upgrades are going to let you have what you need to be powering it and what you need to be running it. So remember, 2 speed upgrades and then start using energy upgrades as well. Otherwise, your power is going to really suffer through this process. And almost all Mekanism machines will take the speed and energy upgrades. Not all of them will, but mostly all of them will, including the water pump. So there we go. So now we have ore quadrupling. And now we need 5 times ore processing. This one is going to be a lot more complicated than this. And I do apologize. I'm not the best at doing tutorials. I really am not. But I do feel like sometimes it just helps to have a different perspective on a tutorial that's already been done a million times. Because maybe I did something that just triggered it for you. Not just triggered you, but you know, triggered your mind on how to do something. So now that we have this settled, we need to turn, instead of shards, we need crystals for 5 times ore processing. So just to save us room and to keep everything separated as much as possible, we're going to bring this all the way down over here. So our 5 times ore processing is going to come from here, and it's going to go into there. You can also easily do this back here. You don't have to go way over here. You can also do it above. Remember, all of these machines can be stacked. You don't need these pipes. I use the pipes because, to me, it makes it easier to see. So here, we're going to come over here to create the 5 times ore processing. Now, instead of shards, we're going to have crystals. So to make the crystals, of course, we are going to need a crystallizer. Did I spell that wrong? Chemical crystallizer, this guy. We're going to need this. And just because, again, we're on creative doing these tutorials, we're going to need power. At this point, when you get to this, you are going to need more than just 2 or 3 windmills. You are going to need to start thinking about adding in some more power, which we will talk about here in a second. Because we have a method that we used on our world that will get you through until you can get to fission reactor. The method is, you see all this hydrogen, all this excess hydrogen right here? What you're going to do is you're going to get a gas burning generator, and you're going to come over here wherever your stuff is at, right? And you're going to take that gas and you're going to turn it into power. So here we go. And there's our power. So what you're going to do, you're going to turn the excess hydrogen that you've been making this entire time. And as you see, you're still making it. With this setup right here, you are still making enough hydrogen to keep up with this high gas burning generator. And look, it is producing beautifully. Although we're going to need a cell that is empty to actually show that. What we're going to do, we're going to turn this off. Oops. Turn that off. There's our cell to show that we're filling it up. And look, we're producing 20, 15, 10, 8. What is this going to end up at? Probably 3, 2, 1. So it's going to be just over 1,000. Yep, around 1,000. And that's not bad. That's not bad at all. 1,000. We totally screwed that up. So this excess hydrogen here that's being produced, what we're going to do, because this machine doesn't need that much and this one doesn't need that much, what we're going to do is we're going to turn that into power. So what you're going to do, you're going to grab yourself a gas burning generator and you're going to plop it down in a place where you can still access the hydrogen. Now the hydrogen is going to be taken in and it's going to start producing the power. Now the power isn't going to be a lot, but it is going to be enough for most things. So here you see we're going to be generating a stock of about 700 to 800,000. 700, 800 FE a tick. Now with that, you can also just upgrade this machine right here with more speed upgrades. So more speed upgrades for that to produce more hydrogen. You can also just make some more of those machines. The power draw of these machines is not going to be enough to warrant not having them. So you see this takes in about 38 to 40 FE a tick, but it's going to generate enough hydrogen to actually produce quite a bit of hydrogen. You see right here, 7,000 to 8,000 FE a tick. Beautiful power production. You don't need much more besides that as you come through this whole process. So now that we have power settled, let's get through with the crystals. So from this crystallizer, we need to feed in clean ore slurry. Now slurry is a pressurized item. It is a gas, if I remember correctly. So there is the pressurized, and it needs to be fed in through a chemical washer. So we're going to take the chemical washer right here. And the chemical washer is going to feed clean ore slurry into the chemical crystallizer. So again, doesn't hurt to make sure that you are assigning all of your pipes into exactly what you want them to do. There we go. Just to prevent anything else from happening. So into here, we need ore slurry and water. So again, because over here we have all of our water centralized, you see we're running into a problem of it cannot keep up with this machine. So at this point, what you're going to want to do is get another pump and another water source. Ready to rotate that around. So there we go. There is some more water coming in. Now, this could hypothetically be enough for what you need, but if I were you, I would just get one step ahead here, and just do this. Just get yourself another one. Now, with three water pumps going on here, you should be fine for the next processes. So we're gonna take this over here, because again, we want to use our same stuff. We don't want to keep making new things. When possible, you want to reuse your resources. So now we have water coming in, and we need ore slurry. The ore slurry comes from a chemical dissolution chamber. So again, with the chemical, we have dissolution chamber right here. And as you see, more bang for your buck. Out and in. So this guy is now back over here where we have the ore coming in. This is going to be the new ore input. So if we come right here, ore in, boom. Now, when we have raw ore, we can just put it into here. That will feed into this machine and it will make the ore slurry. But we do need the next process in order to make the acid that's gonna dissolve the iron and the raw ores. To make the sulfuric acid, we're gonna need another chemical infuser. Again, chemical infusers are probably the most prominent machine in this whole setup because you are using them quite a bit. So there's the chemical infuser. That is going to take water vapor and sulfuric trioxide. So, to get to this point, again, we're going to want to make sure... Actually, is sulfuric acid a liquid or... I guess we'll find out in a little bit. It's a gas. Okay, good. I forgot. So, we're going to need to get the sulfuric acid, and that takes water vapor. Water vapor comes from a rotary condenser. So there's the rotary condenser. The rotary condenser is, of course, going to need water. So if we just grab this guy over here. And again, we need to bring the power over. There's the power. Okay. So we're going to bring the water over. And the water should be coming through the bottom right here. Input fluid. And when it's not working like this, there's always the default assumption that you need to click this toggle. And there you go. Now the water is coming in and is being turned into water vapor. The water vapor is coming through here and coming to this machine. So now we have water vapor coming in. We need to solve the other part of this equation, which is sulfur trioxide. Sulfur trioxide is going to be taking in oxygen. So again, at this point, if you have this excess hydrogen, this excess oxygen right here, it helps if you have all of this more compact than what we have here. And I'll show you guys at the very end. I will show you a more streamlined setup for this. That's going to look a lot better than this. But again, this is about layout. This isn't about layout. It's about functionality. So I'm just going to show you the functionality of these machines and what it takes to do it. So here's the oxygen. We're going to bring it all the way over here. And here we have the oxygen coming into a chemical infuser. So the rotary condenser is ready. This guy right here is the chemical infuser, and it needs the sulfur trioxide. The sulfur trioxide is built by taking this oxygen that we have from way over there, and we're going to pump it into a chemical infuser. So there's a chemical infuser right there. Here's the infuser. Now the chemical infuser is going to be pumping in the oxygen. So we bring in the oxygen right here. We go to the back. Right here. Input 1. Ah, gas, my bad. Up. Input 1. So input 1 is going to come in. And now we have the, again, make sure we're setting everything where it's supposed to. So now we have that coming in. We also need the power. So let's grab the power coming through here. Okay, So oxygen is coming through. Now we need the sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is going to come from a chemical oxidizer. Chemical oxidizer. The chemical oxidizer is going to need to take in sulfur. Now this is where we run into a slight problem with this setup, is you need to be able to have sulfur. Now, depending on if you're in a pack or not, this could be easy. There could be easy ways to farm for creepers and get the gunpowder. So the sulfur is going to come into this machine through a chemical injection chamber. So there's another chemical machine. Here's the chemical injection chamber. Now the chemical injection chamber is going to take something we made way over here. Now again, you can make more of these machines, and it's probably wise to make more of these machines, but this is up to you. So right here, we were making the chemical, we were making hydrogen chloride right here. Now, it is wise to make more of these machines, but you have to do the whole setup again, which can be time consuming. So the other option is to keep upgrading that machine. And now you can just come through here and you can steal that, right? And you can steal it from over there. Again, if you are building this close together, which you should be, this will not be so arduous of a task. You can set it up better, and I will show you at the very end how to set up it better. So there we go. Now, in order for this to work, you're going to need to set up more speed upgrades for this guy. So again, speed upgrades. Here. And right here, for this guy who's using this gas, you can also get the gas efficiency. These are gas upgrades. These are going to be gas efficiency. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it more efficient at using the gas. Now, of course, we don't want to do what I just did, which is fully upgrade the speed. Leave it down to 4. So there we go. We have hydrogen chloride coming into here, but we also now have the hydrogen chloride, hopefully, making its way over here as well. So there we go. We have the hydrogen chloride coming in. And now we need gunpowder. So we're going to have another input chest coming over here. Input chest. We're going to have in and in. And now we need gunpowder. The gunpowder is going to come in to this machine here. It is going to be... We don't have... Oh. That was the chemical oxidizer. All right. So we have it coming in. The gunpowder is coming in. It's being processed with the hydrogen chloride to make sulfur dust. The sulfur dust is going to be processed out and over here to this guy. The chemical oxidizer is going to make the sulfur dioxide. And the sulfur dioxide is going to come out and into this guy. Let's go over here, input second. We need to do output right. Oh, automatic on. Why? All right, there we go. So the coming automatically out of there and in here sulfur dioxide, and now we are making the sulfur trioxide. And with the sulfur trioxide, we can now bring it over to this machine right here. So we need to come in now. Again, be very careful about that right there, which is going to be mixing your pipes. So the easiest way to do this for now is just to bring it all the way out over here and into here. So now we have sulfur trioxide coming in through the front. So front is going to be input 2, and sulfur trioxide is coming in, and coming out is the sulfur acid, the sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is going to be going out through the right, output right. And there you have it. That is the ore processing now for 5 times ore. So there we have the slurry. Ore slurry is coming out into here. It's dirty iron slurry. It is going to be processed into clean iron slurry, which then gets processed through here and gets turned into crystals. There's the crystals going out. They're going to come over here and go through the next phase of this machine, which is this guy. Right there. There's the crystal. It's a little bit slower than I am. It's going to come into here, and then it's going to come down and get processed here. However, you'll notice that we're actually running out of this guy right here. So at this point, you'll see that we have a slight problem. We have a little production issue with this. And what's the slope? The slope is the brine. This is usually how it goes. The brine is the slow up. But again, that's why I like this. Because look at this. It's 40. We never turn it up. 75 FE a tick. And now, just like that, we're producing way more brine, which is going to help us produce more of the stuff that we need to get everything up and running. So what you're going to do, you're going to keep adjusting this until you have the perfect solution triggered in. You don't want to go too high because, again, this is taking power. So this is going to be taking power from your machine. You want to get to the point where you're constantly producing and you're not running into any shortage issues. See, now we have hydrogen chloride coming in here, and it is turning this iron crystal into the iron shards and going down the whole line through the process. And that is 5 times ore processing. Just to make this abundantly clear how this is all working, again, double ore processing, easy, just a enrichment factory feeding into the smelting chamber. Over here, again, it's an electrolytic separator taking in water and putting out oxygen, which goes into the purification chamber, which feeds into the crusher, which feeds into the old system. Then over here for the 4 times ore processing, you have a chemical injecting factory, which is taking in ore and making crystals by bringing in hydrogen chloride from the chemical infuser. The chemical infuser is being fed off of the hydrogen and the chlorine. The hydrogen, of course, is coming from the previous electrolytic separator. The chlorine is coming from the electrolytic separator being fed by brine, and the brine is being fed in through the thermal evap block, which is taking in water and heat from the back of the machine over here and turning it into brine. The 5 times ore processing is taking and making crystals using a chemical crystallizer, which is taking in clean chemical slurry from the chemical washer, which takes in the dirty slurry from a chemical dissolution chamber. The chemical dissolution chamber is taking in ore for the whole process, and it is taking in sulfur trioxide. The sulfur trioxide, the sulfuric acid. The sulfuric acid is being produced by the chemical infuser, which takes water from the rotary condenser, turning it into vapor, and sulfur trioxide from this beautiful machine right here, the chemical infuser, which is taking in the oxygen, and it is taking in sulfur dioxide, which is just coming from gunpowder being turned with the hydrogen chloride from before into what we need. I hope that this was simple enough for you guys. I know it's been a long video, and I'll break it up into sections as well, but this is the ore processing, and it's actually very easy, very fast. You can quickly get this streamlined.